Hi, folks. Welcome to Hitting Mark with Harry and Mark. I'm your co-host Harry. This is my co-host Mark.
Hello.
Completely unintentional. I don't know why I did that, but we're two idiots who love to talk about things we have no idea what we're doing. It's just going to be a personal, permanent fixture. Just the weird mess up or I'm gonna go out of my way to do something obnoxiously, stupidly different just to get like the
Yeah,
attention. Yeah, yeah. Just
I'm
watch.
down.
Next I'm gonna do Dowd from Dishonored. Like,
I
hey,
see it.
welcome to Hitting the Mark with Harry and Mark. I killed an empress, but I saved her daughter. And I want you to know that, Harry. Yeah, anyway. We hope everyone had a good week. We certainly existed during
Hmm.
that week. So yeah. We are now gonna move on to the how is portion of our podcast. For anyone who doesn't know, like and subscribe. This is the phase where we ask each other how our week was. Harry,
Sure. Yes.
Como was your week?
My week. What was my week? My week was good. Work wasn't horrible. I had yesterday off from work. Went to Japantown over in the city.
Nice.
Um, Not really much to do there, unfortunately. A lot of places not open anymore. But it was still cool to go around and see things. Our favorite spots, the food places, were still open. So
Nice.
yeah,
Nice.
so we went and had some of that. I didn't have a lot of it. I don't partake in the sugar anymore, so most of the places have a lot of sugar and like crepes and green tea ice cream and stuff. So
God,
it
you're
was
gonna
so
look
nice.
great, but you're gonna be so angry.
You would think, right?
I can't see my
Um,
forehead.
um, but yeah, it was a good week. What did I do over the weekend? I don't recall. I guess it's just a normal weekend, just doing some errands because I'm an adult now and I have to do errands, and that's it. I am fully planning that trip out to Seattle more though, so keep an eye
I
out on that.
Ooh, that'll be fun, man. I'm gonna want
Mm-hmm.
to do that too. Shit.
So yeah, everybody that I've told, like, oh yeah, I'm gonna take I'm gonna drive up the coast and through Oregon and stuff. They're like, oh man, you're gonna have a great time. Like, oh thanks. Like everyone says, like that's a really really nice drive. So I'm kind of excited.
I'm used
Uh,
to just doing the five. Well, fucking hats off now. We live in California.
yeah.
I usually do the five down because my girlfriend's family lives in San Diego,
Mm-hmm.
and well, we live in the Bay Area, so that's usually like an 8 hour drive, 7.5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So that's like the adopted like redhead of California drives, and then like the Northern Californian one's like, oh hey, nothing but the best for this child, nothing but the college education, and then like the five is like the unwanted stillborn but survived child that they keep in the basement that no one wants.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, yeah.
Well, it's
What's
like
that bit from Family Guy? The one fucking skit that I like where it's like Peter goes into his like shed and he sees like an albino like skinned version of himself and he's like, "Oh hey buddy, I brought you some garbage." He's like, "Oh, close the door, the light it burns." And he's like, "Oh, you've been good. Oh, you'll be able to have more garbage." In the albino versions and like, "Oh, when I meet the family." And he's like, "No, you overstepped." And he's like slams the door on him. I don't know. I'm probably talking out my ass. You don't know what I'm talking about. But that's what it feels like.
yeah, I can see it.
All that for a laughless joke. All right. Well, whatever. Okay. But
So
yeah, no,
go
you're
ahead.
right. You're absolutely right. The Northern California drive is always a lot prettier. I remember I did an 11-hour drive once to Utah, and first of all, let me get out of the way. That drive is until you get to Utah and until you like leave the Cal Neva border, Everything in between that is completely boring. But like the Cal Neva like mountain range that you're driving through is absolutely gorgeous. The mountains that you're driving around when you get to Utah are absolutely gorgeous. It's just the other 10 hours of that drive that just make you want to stab yourself in the eyes.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, continue with your pleasant story.
No, yeah, everyone tells me that's a great drive up there, and I'm excited. I've been to Portland once, but we flew, so
Mm.
not the same, right? So I'm excited to do the drive. That's about it. Again, casual week of just working and doing the. I didn't stream last weekend.
Hmm.
Actually went to a friend's house. Um,
Oh.
yeah, I went to a friend's house. Had some fun. We had a what they called a keto party. Um, just a lot of food.
Where you
That
all just
is,
fucking beat the shit out of each other?
yeah, basically.
Yeah. Nice.
But no, it was fun. It was nice. I enjoyed myself. It was nice seeing people. Post not sorry, not really post pandemic, but lenient pandemic.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, you're vaxxed.
yeah,
Your lady's vaxxed, and it's like, groups of like vaxxed folks are perfectly fine. So that's
yeah.
good. You're
So
all right. You're good.
yeah, that was it was nice to do that, and then yeah, and then we'll go to your week. I hear
Yeah.
you've had some stuff happening. What's up?
Yeah. 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 Well, hold on. I've also been to Oregon.
Oh,
Yeah.
please explain.
It was in 2005. It was a great event. We hung out. It was like I was with my parents. I was a little boy, and Hurricane Katrina happened.
Right.
Yeah, so that was
Huh.
fun. That was fun. We got to watch the devastation and displacement of the poorer members of the South. Yeah, that was great.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, my week was pretty good. We drove down to San Diego, picked up some of my lady's family, brought them up. We're trying to show them a bit of the place safely and whatnot. So that's a little tough. We're both pretty fucking tired because we're both fairly entertaining individuals, and there's only so much we can do in this environment. So yeah. Uh, let's see what else. I worked.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
Grounded my head against a cheese grater, so that was fun. Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
so I mentioned I'm I don't know if I'm using this terminology right. Retro?
Retro?
Yeah. So I mentioned how I was one with the artificial intelligence 2 weeks
Yeah.
ago. And I reviewed partially System Shock. I haven't gotten the chance to play it
Yes.
because I have been a little busy lately, but I've been really itching to get back on my laptop and play. But because I'm such an asshole, I actually bought a used copy of one of my favorite games as a kid. Uh,
Oh,
Black and White 2.
okay.
Yeah. So now that I know how to do mods and now that I know how to like install versions of games that are no longer compatible with Windows 10, I'm actually going to try installing this one too. Um, Black and White 2 is pretty much like I don't know how I ever got it. But I remember getting it once and just installing it and was the first and only computer game I ever actually played. Like played and won and played it again and won and won and won. So like the nostalgia hit me the moment I got System Shock and we were talking about like old games and that era of gaming that I wanted to get into.
Yeah.
And I was reminded of this game that I was just like, "Oh, cool. You can like pick an animal avatar and you can like use it to, represent you as a good person or a bad person. You're a god and shit like that."
Yeah.
Because God games are like a kind of a dying breed of game nowadays.
Hmm.
And like Populous, not God of War, Black and White and Black and White 2 were like some of the more quintessential God games at the time. So
Okay.
yeah. Yeah. So I'm excited. I'm excited to like actually dip myself into actual computer games and try a little bit more of them.
Dude, awesome. Yes.
Yeah, fuck yeah. But I also went to San Francisco on the day that you went to San Francisco.
This is true.
We were supposed to do the event together, but our schedules got a little crisscrossed, and it's no
Mm-hmm.
worries. But what I ended up doing was I took my lady to go see the sneak peek premiere of Dune, or a premiere of a sneak peek of Dune. Got that mixed up. Um, on IMAX.
Ooh.
Yeah, we went to the Metreon in San Francisco. We actually saw a popular YouTuber who deals with science fiction fantasy novels.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting. I forgot to incessantly ask that he plug us on his show.
Oh man.
So that would have been useful. Um, kill me? No. All jokes aside, so we waited in line. They gave us a couple complimentary posters.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm reminded how much I hate like film people.
Yeah.
Uh, because yeah, they're usually like so you know how like there was Gamergate in the 2015 and 16 era, and it was
Yeah.
like you have those people, and then
Yes.
right above that you have like movie people. Like white kids like who aren't driven, who think that
Mm-hmm.
like gaming and like remembering shit about movies is like a skill and it's their one defining trait, and I'm not describing myself, I swear. But I essentially ran into like sadder, sweatier, smellier versions of myself, and some, far more attractive people there, like my girlfriend. But no, I'm being harsh. There were a whole bunch of people there. We got there a little early. We had to surrender our phones because it was a premiere event. We waited for about like 30, 45 minutes, and this theater is huge. Like I had gone to see an IMAX event once in like 2005 or 6. It was like a James Cameron underwater thing. You know how he is with his IMAX cameras and
Yes.
his blue people braid fucking. Anyway, um, so it was a really fascinating thing seeing this gigantic screen. We got like almost perfect middle seating. Um, and there we got about 30 minutes of content. We got let's break it down. We got about 4 or 5 minutes of like the modern behind the scenes thing where everyone congratulates one another and talks about how great the movie is, with a little bit of like, behind the scenes stuff. We got 10 minutes
Mm-hmm.
of the opening scenes of the movie. 5 minutes from Denis Villeneuve's favorite part of the movie, and then no, not and then we got Denis Villeneuve, the director, discussing how they went about the score of the movie with the score creator, the musician, the composer. There we go. The music mancer, Hans Zimmer. And then we got the trailer. We got the trailer essentially like 12 hours before everyone else. So, um,
Awesome.
you've seen the first trailer, right?
Yes. So I
The
have.
one that aired like about a year ago.
Yes.
So, God, I I was so very excited when I saw that trailer, and I think it's a great trailer. But I cannot understate how undersold it did to this movie, or how much it undersold this movie.
Oh.
Um, because I got the
Interesting.
impression that it was going to be like it was going to have some like smaller qualities, that it was going to be a fairly standard science fiction film. So
Right.
the best way I can describe how this movie feels, and I apologize for people who don't quite know what I'm going to mean by this. It feels like 2001: A Space Odyssey meets Destiny.
Hmm.
Um, so let's do the first 10 minutes and I'll kind of get into the rest. So the
Yeah.
first 10 minutes is literally just the first 10 minutes of the movie. Um, so it's not too dissimilar from the original 1984 film. It begins with a bit of narration. It begins with Channy, who we first meet. Uh, technically, we meet midway through the book, and she talks about essentially the oppression of her planet, and she says, "Now we have new oppressors, and we want to see who these people are." And then it
Mm.
cuts. So they're going to be playing up a lot of the environmentalism, a lot of essentially the imperialism that occurs on the planet. We can get into this a little more in a moment. That doesn't matter. Um, and then it plays out how it does in the book, where Paul wakes up from having a dream about someone he doesn't know, Chani. Uh, him kind of discussing stuff with his mother, and then we meet his father, Leto Atreides, the Duke of Caladan, the leader of the Atreides house, who have now inherited the Dune planet, the planet Arrakis, which produces the spice melange, the most the most valuable substance in the known universe, uh, capable of prolonging life, extending consciousness and prescience, uh, a good spice for your food too. Um, and it's there we're introduced to a couple of our characters. We're introduced to Paul. We're introduced to Lady Jessica. Duke Leto Atreides has said before. Patrick Stewart. No, I'm kidding. Josh Brolin. And God, I always forget the actor's name, but he's playing Thufir Hawat, and that word makes no sense to anyone. He's a human computer, basically. Um,
Mm.
the entire look of this movie uh, is absolutely astounding. The beginning of this movie, or the beginning of this movie with the narration, is on Arrakis, and again, this is where the Destiny like aesthetic kicks in, but has the
Mm.
scope of 2001: A Space Odyssey. There's a scene where there's literally just this giant cylinder of a ship. And do you remember you've played Destiny, right?
Yes. I've
So do
played
you
part two.
okay, you Destiny 2. So you remember when the oh god, this is going to be just for Harry and I'm so sorry listeners. Um you remember the gigantic giant mouthed ship that the Cabal are on, or that one Cabal dude is on?
Okay, yeah.
And it's like this big, like the visuals like this dark bronzy kind of look, and it's just this giant gaping mouth of a ship.
Yeah.
Like that's what it feels like vast and disorientating,
Mm-hmm.
and just awe-inspiring. Um, and all of this is completely undiscussed in the trailers. Not even the trailers that you've seen so far. The beginning of the trailer is actually what the beginning of the movie is, the narration when Shani talks
Okay.
about the spice in her homeworld.
Yes.
Um, and it ends the last 10 minutes of this intro end with Leto Atreides accepting ownership of Arrakis, and that's it. And let's see, Denis Villeneuve, the director, he goes over his favorite scene, which is when we first meet a sandworm, or when we first see a sandworm. And
Right.
again, to anyone who doesn't know, the sandworms are these gigantic worms that exist on Arrakis. Um, and there might be a connection between them and the spice. But there are these giant creatures that exist on the planet nowhere else, and it's very popular in the movies and in the shows and in the books. This very first moment when we actually see a sandworm, and it's so silly and funnily done in the movie, the 1984 movie. Harry knows that I have a soft spot in my heart for this movie. I don't know if
Yep.
I've mentioned this before on the show, but it's just a movie that does everything literally, and it comes out so funny. Anyway, besides the point, this is Denis Villeneuve's favorite scene in the movie, and it's again the scale of this movie is huge. Like this scene plays out in like pretty much CGI, but it's so well done, and they give a really solid sense of scale with the characters. So, you know, you have a couple characters next to a giant CGI thing. The CGI thing gets eaten by a 50 times bigger fucking sandworm.
Mhm.
Um, some of the practical effects in this are actually really good.
Hmm.
The aesthetic. So I'll get into this in a moment.
Yeah.
Uh, they go over the music, and that I think is interesting because they talked about one of the things that they thought of was what's one of the main constants of music, and that's vocals. So a big portion of the music is voiced or sung. There's a huge emphasis on drums, or what's that clackety clack clack instrument? Harry, don't
I
leave me
don't.
hanging.
I don't.
Okay, we'll just call it a clickety clack. There we go.
Yep. That.
Singing and clickety clacks. So there's a very I don't know, it's coded like Arabian or like distant dune sand people music, um, which has a very melancholy vibe to it. Anywho, uh, the art and costume styles, even the architecture, feel so very new, yet so very like distant in terms of time. Like the Atreides have like this very sleek black like military outfit that looks very modern or contemporary. Yet
Mm.
architecture and ships are so alien, which is so fascinating. Um and then when you get to Dune, some of the vessels are actually analog, which is really interesting. It would make sense because they're on a sand planet. Um, but they don't. I really enjoy that because the setting of Dune is like 8,000 years in the future.
Mm.
It gives them literally carte blanche to be like, well, let's just make it look like this, or let's do it this way,
Mm.
without really having to worry about, well, what's it going to look like in 8,000 years? You know.
Right.
I think when you deal with movies where time technically doesn't matter, like it matters, but you're so far into the future where the asshole let me predict how like things are used kind of aesthetic doesn't apply. And you can just make something up and just be like, well, it's so far into the future that the technology that they've made for it just makes sense.
Mm.
Um, the architecture, I mentioned this before, is disorientating.
Okay.
Uh, I don't know how to explain the specific art style that I like. I'm probably going to be shooting myself in the foot about this later. But there are two films that have a very specific art style that aren't exactly like Dune's, but remind me of Dune in some elements. And that's The Cell with Jennifer Lopez and Vincent D'Onofrio and Vince Vaughn, where it's basically Inception before Inception.
Mm.
Jennifer Lopez plays a psychiatrist who's going into the mind of a serial killer, and the mind environment, the mind set pieces are fairly dreamlike and
Mm.
disorientating. And then Immortals in 2012, I think, with who is the actor now who plays Superman? Henry Cavill. And the art style again is non-accurate. It's more artistic in a very weird sense. There's the point of this is the art style and the architectural designs don't have a very typical feel to them, if that makes sense. Um, there's a scene where it's been in the old trailer and it's in the new trailer where the Baron, the bad guy of the novel and the movie, he's
Mhm.
rising out of like this pit of tar or oil, and he's in this golden spherical room. And that's what I mean by disorientating. Like this scene, like I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. I really don't. It's a it's an art style that I really like, and it just throws my senses off kilter when I see a non-box related room. I don't know.
Mhm.
Um but yeah, the entire event was very enjoyable. We finally got to the trailers. Uh and I'm one thing that I'm seeing a lot or not seeing, which I'm enjoying, is they're kind of doing the exact opposite in terms of how they're dealing with Vladimir Harkonnen or Harkonnen.
Okay.
In the shows and in the film, Vladimir Harkonnen, the main villain of Dune, or at least the first Dune, or the first two, depending on if you're a fan, doesn't matter. Um, he's played off kind of like a down to earth character. In the movies, he's kind of a jokier character. He's a little silly, and he himself isn't silly, but he's portrayed as kind of a silly character. The show has him more of like a less physically intimidating kind of villain. Uh, we've seen nothing of him yet. Like I think in a significant way, we get like a shot of him floating up in the air. We get a side shot of him saying "kill them." We get that shot of him floating out of the tar pit or whatever it is, but we don't really have a sense of the character yet, and it's building up a very palpable sense of anticipation,
Mhm.
um, which I'm really excited about. Um, yeah, I really did enjoy this event. It got me a clearer sense of how the movie's pace is going to go along. Um, what they might add to the movie itself. I would not mind them taking a couple liberties with the story, given how well the movie already looks. Artistic design looks great. Even the set, like, there's some really impressive looking sets so far that I'm seeing. So it's all a matter of, if it can even be pulled off.
Right.
Because Dune, people have been saying for decades that Dune is just unfilmable. And if I could segue for a moment, I think it'll be difficult. I really do.
Oh.
Uh, Denis Villeneuve had to fight to get this movie put in theaters. He was
Huh.
he I believe in one of his interviews he felt backstabbed or something like that with the idea of them just releasing Dune on HBO Max, because it ruin as we were talking about before, it hurts the success of this film if it's released on this platform for free. Um, and he wanted it also released on a big screen because this movie looks like it's meant for the big screen.
Yeah.
Um, so how I'm anticipating this is people are going to get excited for the first half of this movie because that's what it is. It's half of the book. Um, and they're going to get really disappointed when the second movie comes out because
Mm.
this movie is the trailers are framing this movie in a very specific way. Um, so the guy, he's kind of doing a Lion King kind of thing where it's like, oh, I'm inheriting this throne, this title, and it's taken from me by the bad guy, the big bad guy, and he gets it back, right? Not quite,
Mm. Mm.
because in the books, Vladimir Harkonnen literally dies off screen. or dies off page or whatever the term would be in the novel. Uh, and the main character doesn't do too much, and even when he does, it's to the reader's horror. Imagine, uh, have I told you about Dune itself, the book?
Mm, I don't think so. No.
Okay, so long story short, if I may,
Yes.
uh, imagine for a moment that you're a desert dwelling people who love your planet, and assholes have taken it over and are using the planet and some of your people as labor to mine and harvest a resource. And you are eventually going to have the power to kick them all out, right?
Right.
Through cold, slow paced, methodical, hard work, you will eventually get all of these oppressors off your planet, right?
Yes.
And then all of the fucking sudden, a 15-year-old who just happens to look like your Jesus Christ figure comes along, and his mother's like, this little fucker is your god. And all of your hard work goes out the window because all of your people become fucking zealots. And they're like,
Mm,
we need to do all this right here, right now, because our God is here.
right.
And you get the fuckers off your planet, but that's no longer enough because now you need to cleanse the entire universe in the name of your God.
Oh.
That's what fucking Dune is. Dune is the story. There's more to it, trust me, don't get me wrong. Dune is the story of a kid who has no idea what the fuck he's doing, who, through genetic manipulation, has crazy fucking abilities, just falls into the capable hands of the Fremen. Um, and essentially, I mean, he's a 15-year-old kid. He doesn't know better. He uses the Fremen and he plays off of their beliefs, which kind of align with who he and his mother are when they arrive into their civilization to gain his revenge. And the revenge that he gets comes at the cost of everything. And that's the problem. The
Right.
tagline to this book that Frank Herbert said is heroes are bad for your health, or heroes are hazardous to health. So I think it'll be hard to do because the ending to this isn't very cinematic. It's not very Hollywood. Well, I mean, Hollywood is literally throwing hundreds of thousand dollars to make these movies, but I don't know how successful the second half of this production will be if they even get
Mm,
the chance to make a second half. Don't get me wrong. If they make the movie with a couple liberties, but make it in accordance with the book, I think this could be a great fucking movie. Both a great two-parter. But I do think this is the kind of movie that would have an end that would turn a lot of people off. Because,
okay.
I mean, I would like to hope that moviegoers are not just there for the feel-good stuff. But this is a movie, or this is the franchise that is not a necessarily feel-good movie or a feel-good story. Like it has a
Mm,
couple environmental, it has, Jesus, it has environmental storytelling or environmental commentary. It has commentary on empire. It has commentary on political machinations, and oppression and colonialization. Um, but at the end of the day, it's about a kid who really shouldn't have these powers and still uses them to get his revenge at a cost. It's like Lion King. So I'm really interested because I want this
mm,
first half to succeed and see where that goes.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
It
but yeah,
sounds really good. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, no one likes a tragedy. Well, they do if it's compelling enough. It's just sad. The character of Paul is literally a guy who can't escape his own destiny. Um, and it's fascinating. I remember reading this during the beginning of the pandemic, and I was like, wow, if you could get through like 200 pages worth of like fluff, or not fluff, but like hard fucking reading,
Yeah.
it's a very, very rewarding book. Anyone who's interested, Frank Herbert's Dune is a very, God, I don't even want to say fun read. It's an enjoyable read. It really is. It's got great commentary. It's got solid characters. Uh, yeah. So I don't know. I'm always recommending it. I'm just
Mm,
worried just because of the kind of movie it is and the kind of market that we have now, where everything coming out now is, superhero this, there's no bad guy there, this and that
right.
and this and that. So fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
And
So,
that was my week. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
so from I didn't go with you, obviously, like you said, but I did watch the trailer, and
Hmm.
I'll say it looks fucking amazing. Um,
Yeah.
it looks really, really good. Um, I I think one thing that you pointed out was the music. The music actually caught my ear right away.
And yeah,
Um,
that doesn't happen.
yeah,
I've never listened. There are very few musicians or composers. Even Hans Zimmer doesn't really stick out to me. But
hmm,
the music is one of those things in that trailer that really just caught my ear.
yeah. No, I really liked it. And one thing that really got me, this is more music related, but the um what is it, the vocals, um there's at the very end that last scream or whatever you want to call it.
Oh, that chant. Yeah, and at the end and
Yeah.
it tapers off and she's got that like that power behind the very end.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That definitely stuck with me.
Yeah. So that one really got me too. Uh yeah, the and I didn't realize how many big names were in it.
Oh
Um
yeah.
Like I was watching the trailer with Liv, and yeah, we're like, wow, those some big names, you know.
If I may,
Mhm.
I'm actually kind of interested with a choice that they're making.
Oh,
So there's a character in the books and in the movie that was present that I'm not seeing in this movie yet, at
oh,
least. So
okay.
there's a character. So you remember Sting, right? Sting in the original Dune.
I vaguely.
So he plays a character called Feyd-Rautha. Feyd-Rautha is Vladimir Harkonnen's nephew,
Okay.
and I believe he's cousins to uh, the Beast Raban, who is played by Dave Bautista in this, and he looks so
Yes.
imposing. Uh, I'm interested because he has a significant, or not a significant, but um a comparable part in this franchise in the first book with Paul. He's a foil for him. They're both the same age. They're both trained by their mentors. They're essential father figures. Their dynamics are examined. How Vladimir Harkonnen treats Feyd-Rautha and what he learns from uh, Vladimir Harkonnen, vice
Mm.
versa, or not vice versa, contrasted with like what Paul learns from his father Leto and how their dynamic is. So I'm wondering if they're going to save him for the second movie, or
Oh.
if they have a another actor who or actress, because they gender bent a character in this movie that I'm interested in. Uh,
Oh.
so I'm wondering if they're going to uh, have like a stealth actor or actress in this to surprise us. So we'll see. So go
We'll
ahead. I
see.
apologize. So we were talking about the surprisingly large cast in this.
Yeah, I just you named a lot of them, and there's some that I've seen in bigger names. I don't remember by name, but I have seen uh, in big roles and stuff like that. So
Mhm.
it's looking really good. And I've been seeing a lot of people that I follow on Twitter talk about it and how they're super excited for it.
Oh
So
yeah.
yeah,
I I'm interested. I don't want to say too much because I know you haven't read you've casually seen the movie,
mm,
but I'm I'm really looking forward to seeing Jason Momoa. Like I like Jason Momoa.
yeah,
He's a fine he's fine, but like there's something about him in this that I'm
hmm,
so excited for. Like him playing Duncan Idaho, the Swordmaster, and like
yeah,
the first trailer where he's like just wrecking everyone with the sword is just it looks so good.
mm,
I don't know what it is. Like there's like he's Duncan is even my favorite fucking character in the book. Like it's so impressive that like he steals the show in the first trailer and he has like no little fucking uh appearance, not appearance, but
mm,
like presence in the book.
yeah,
It's so good. I'm really hoping that they flesh out these characters in meaningful ways. If if they can make a 2 hour and 20 minute movie with like one film in 1984, I really want to see how they flesh out the other characters with a 2 hour and 20 minute film that's just a half of the book.
right,
Because one of my favorite characters is a guy you don't even see in the trailer, Thufir Hawat. Thufir Hawat is like this royal spy master. He's like a I don't know. The there's a sect within the Dune universe called the Mentats.
oh, okay,
Mentats. And they're
mm,
basically like living statisticians or living computers. And they calculate numbers and odds and they're like deep thinkers. And Thufir Hawat is like one of the greatest Mentats. And he works for Paul Atreides because he mainly works because he adores him. Um and he's a great mentor. Well, Duncan, Thufir, and Yui. Oh, and Gurney. Like they're all his mentors, but like there's something I've always really liked about Thufir. Like I like the Varys character, and that's kind of what Thufir is, except not for Game of Thrones.
okay,
So yeah, he has an interesting, well, a little bit of a tragic story, but I'd really like to see them flesh it out. Um, Another actor, by the way, who I'm interested in, he seems to be getting a lot of play lately. Is oh Jesus, Dashiell Maine, I think his name is, or something like that. He God, he's in so much shit. He was the paranoid schizophrenic in The Dark Knight. He was the Russian dude with the pompadour in Ant-Man and Ant-Man and the Wasp.
mm-hmm,
Uh, and he's Polka Dot Man in Suicide Squad.
oh,
Yeah.
okay,
Um, and now he's going to be playing the evil Mentat. So Vladimir Harkonnen has a Mentat as well called
mm,
Piter de Vries, and he's another
okay,
character that I really like too. He's essentially the little finger to Thufir's Varys. Like he's a
oh,
more conniving and a little more sniveling. Um, and I'm really interested to see how they do these characters because in the original movie they had these big bushy eyebrows and like fucking stained lips.
yep,
In the mini series in the 2000s, they had all these weird costumes for all of them, and I really want to. I mean, there's so much that's described in the books, and there are already so many ideas that have been visually displayed on the shows and
Hmm.
movies. I really want to see what they do with this movie or these movies, because I really want to see what creative liberties they take. I don't just want them to copy and paste the novel. I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with it, but I really respect Denis Villeneuve as a director, and I really want to see where the writing and the cinematography go with this. What's being conveyed and interpreted from the book, because for Denis Villeneuve, this is a passion project. He's apparently loved Dune since he was a teenager.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I mean, I think I read something on Twitter about how like they been spending what 3 years filming this,
oh yeah,
um, and they're still working on a second part. Like, yeah, there's a lot of heart and soul and put into this movie, and it's looking great. I'm excited for when it comes out so we can watch it.
oh yeah. I'm gonna fucking watch it with you.
Yeah, we are, and it's
Hell yeah.
confirmed. It's confirmed. 2 hours 20 minutes.
Just about. I'm not entirely sure. I would assume, given a movie like this,
Right.
because Denis Villeneuve's movies tend to run a little longer. Blade
Mm.
Runner 2049 was about 2 hours and 40 minutes. I think Arrival was about 2 hours and change. Sicario, I think, was 2 hours and something minutes.
Now I still
So
haven't seen Arrival. I heard great things about it
it's a solid film. I really enjoy movies in that sense that aren't so action heavy, a little
though.
more focused on the characters. And Villeneuve creates such a wonderful sense of dread without like, God, you just need to see it. We can gush about it
Yeah.
on the podcast if you ever watch it.
Okay.
So that was my week.
um. So I wanted to bring up just quick thing. Going back to our Marvel roots. Uh, so I was reading an
Miss
article.
Tunist.
I was reading an article and I watched a video of basically like WandaVision and Loki. Like the last episodes were synced, like frame by frame, right? Like
Mhm.
starting at like a specific time, and basically they're saying that when Wanda becomes the Scarlet Witch, when she, absorbs all that energy, is when um
You
next
got this.
big villain not Karn.
Karn. Yeah, Karn.
God damn it.
Teferi.
Yeah, Teferi. Um
Tybalt.
no, I need the
Tezzeret.
actual answer. Damn it.
Uh, Korg.
Korg.
No, Kang. Jesus, man.
Kang. Kang.
It's like
Uh
taking candy from a baby,
He's
guys.
seriously. But Kang, when he like stops talking, he's looking around and he realizes like this is it. I don't know anything after this. Is
Mhm.
like the exact same time when Wanda turns into the Scarlet Witch, and
Oh.
so they sync it. There's a video that I linked to you so you can watch later. That they sync it up. The exact same time. And I can see how you know, they can, think that it is. One
Mhm.
thing that kind of like caught me was the other thing they're saying is when Agatha falls to the ground is the
Yeah.
exact same moment as when um he drops that thing, on the table.
Oh, yeah, the little time modulator thing.
Yeah, so I mean, it wasn't exactly the exact same moment, but it was like pretty much around the same time.
Right.
But and I can see why they think that it syncs up. And I can see it that maybe it was meant to you know, be that way, right?
That'd take a
Um,
lot of editing and coordination. I could see it though.
yeah.
I wonder if there's any plot beats that line up with Winter Soldier then too. That'd be a solid little
Oh, maybe.
nice. That would actually be a very interesting little pattern.
Mm-hmm. Because, well, like, I feel like WandaVision and Loki fit more
Hmm.
just because they're both. Basically, I think it's confirmed that Tom. No. What's his name? The actor, Loki's
Tom
brother?
Hiddleston.
Yeah, that guy is going to be in. Was it Spider Man or. Yeah, Spider Man. Right?
Yeah. Oh, he's gonna be in Spider-Man. What about Doctor Strangle?
Okay, maybe it's Doctor Strangle. I might have mixed it up. But he's gonna be in a movie, right? And then so is Wanda, right?
Hmm.
So I think those two syncing up kind of makes sense, you know.
Oh
Um,
yeah. No, you're absolutely right.
I think Falcon and Winter Soldier, because Falcon and Winter Soldier was supposed to be released first. If
Mhm.
I'm, yeah. So I think that one is more of a standalone. You know, Sam becoming Captain America, you know, and stuff like that, which is fine. You know, it is what it is. But I think Wanda and Loki were meant to be more um
Out
in
there.
out there, but more like um intertangled. You know,
Mhm.
because she, you know, she becomes a Scarlet Witch and
And not only
chaos
that,
magic.
but
Yeah.
she does hear her son in another dimension, or like a like hears him
Yes.
cry out,
Yes.
which shouldn't be the case because technically he doesn't exist. But
Right. Mm, yeah. So, um, yeah. I thought it was interesting. And I can see it. You know. But again, this is all speculation, and we won't know until, you know, we see the movies and stuff like that. Which I think the next one is the next Spider-Man movie, correct? And that's out in, I believe, December.
I don't know actually. Now that I
I
think about it, I don't know which one's going to come out.
I believe it is Spider Man in December, and then a few months later, it's gonna be Doctor Strange.
Okay.
So that's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. Seeing what the next big arc is gonna look like. Um,
Oh yeah, that'll definitely be a fun bit.
yeah. But now that we're done talking about that, um, is there anything else before we go into the big end topic?
Well, I'm glad you asked because Dune is a very popular novel franchise. No, I'm good.
Okay. We. Whoops. We're gonna talk about this last week or the week before. I don't recall.
Last week.
Um, Last week. So it's 2021.
Mm-hmm.
20 years ago was 2001,
Don't remind me,
and
Jesus.
yeah, there's a list of games that came out that year, and it's a pretty good
Pretty, yeah,
list.
a handsome list of games.
Yes. Um, Out of all these, I've played maybe five. Let me count it out. Okay, so one,
So hold on,
two,
real quick.
three. Yeah.
Let's name them. Let's sound them
Okay.
out.
Well, yeah. Let's sound them out. Okay. So the first one pictured here is Halo Combat
Okay.
Evolved. I haven't played the original. Um.
Right.
There's Grand Theft Auto 3.
Mm-hmm.
There's Metal Gear Solid 2. Gran Turismo 3. Super Smash Brothers Melee. Final Fantasy X. Silent Hill 2. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, Max Payne, Devil May Cry, Jack and Daxter, SSX Tricky, what is this? Cookies Bad Fur Day. Uh,
Conqueror. Jesus.
oh, sorry.
With
Uh,
the vegetation titties. My
Twisted
God.
Metal Black, Sonic Adventures 2, Diablo 2, Golden Sun, Black and White,
Mm-hmm.
Soul Reaver 2. I cannot read this name. Show. Oh man, I'm gonna get
Got this, buddy. I
beat
believe
up for this. It's in the writing is weird. I'm People who love this game are probably gonna kick my ass. Show something to.
Soul Calibur.
No, not Soul Calibur. I would have been able to read that. NBA Street. Uh,
Mm.
fuck it. You know what? I'm having trouble reading this because like there's like backgrounds onto it, so I can't make out the lettering. I think it's
Hmm.
Onimusha, Red Faction, Luigi's Mansion, Ico,
Oh.
Star Wars Rogue Leader, I guess Rogue Squadron 2,
Hmm.
Return to Castle Wolfenstein, Sid Meier's Civilization 3, Pikmin, and Crazy Taxi 2.
Hmm.
So
That's a handsome list you got there, big boy.
that is a handsome list. So some of these obviously I haven't played, right? I haven't touched, watched any gameplay, but I hear amazing things of it, right?
Hmm.
We'll go down the list from top to bottom, and we'll discuss our experiences, what we know about it, blah blah blah. So we'll start with you, and with the very first one, Halo.
I believe it or not, I actually played Halo when I was 11. I played it right before Halo 2 came out.
Mm,
I had never played a game like that before, ever, like ever. Um, it was fun. It was scary. It was my first real, uh, like attempt at playing a first-person shooter. I I'm a simp for like the old era of computer games, and I felt like I wasn't missing anything because this felt so much like a computer game.
mm-hmm.
And there's like this feeling like when you're growing up in that era where it's like, oh, PC Master Race, and it's like, oh, there's a reason like these high quality like visuals are only on the place or the PC. And I'm thinking to myself like, this game looks perfect for what it is. Like, I love this game. Like when I first
Yeah.
played it, I
Mm-hmm.
still think it's a great game. It's fun. The controls are still solid. The character's a little slow, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I think Halo still really holds up.
Mm,
Say what you will about the franchise now, but Halo is visually striking. Gameplay is satisfying. The story is fun, well, if a little straightforward and whatnot. And the music, I think the music again is one of just those like immediately noticeable things, just like
mm-hmm.
right off the bat. And you know what? Since I was talking about too, the sense of spectacle and the sense of like, especially the later on you get in the game, it just flips into a horror survival or horror game, which
Yeah.
just like completely just knocks your fucking panties off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, completely fun experience.
Yeah.
Maybe not the best multiplayer experience, just because a couple shots with a pistol at any fucking distance and you're fucking gone in a heartbeat. But whatever. I'm not mad, not salty.
But like I said, I never really played the first one, so
Hmm.
I cannot say too much. But
Yeah.
next game, Grand Theft Auto 3, I have a lot of experience with.
Hmm. Yeah, you do.
Obviously, obviously not the first of the series, but the first with third person on it.
Oh, the
And
hot coffee mod, big boy.
yeah, being
Yeah.
able to hop in a car, drive around. Looking back on it, like it was an amazing game. Being able to hop in a car, drive around, like obviously the map wasn't that big, right? But it was still
For what
amazing.
it was
Yeah,
huge.
yeah. Uh, like yeah, looking back at like maps that I play now, like yeah, it's fucking tiny, but fuck, man, it was fucking bomb as shit. Being able to just pick up weapons or put cheat codes and just shoot things and punch people and kill cops and shit like that. Like
Yeah, who doesn't love killing cops?
yeah, like this. Yeah, Grand Theft Auto 3 was amazing. I've probably put in a quite a bit of hours into the game, and I never actually owned it. My cousin
Mm,
owned it, and I would go
right?
over their place and play it.
That was that's always the thing that I notice is that no one ever owned this game.
Yeah.
This was always like a, hey man, my cousin's hanging out this month, for summer, or like, oh hey man, my friend brought this game over. And it's like
Yeah.
we just played it,
Yep.
and it's fucking great. Yeah, I hold on. I'm gonna lose a lot of bona fides. Grand Theft Auto 3 is the one that's still in Liberty City, right? Yeah, that's what I fucking thought.
Yes.
So forget the hot coffee mod joke.
Yep.
Just forget it. Forget it. Yeah, no, it's still an immensely fun game. And it's so much it's so much more fun going back and seeing Liberty City in uh GTA Liberty City.
Mm-hmm.
Um God, I actually didn't play as much of that game. I was more of the San Andreas fellow.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, San Andreas and a little bit more Vice City, I believe. God, that's so strange
Yeah.
because the only thing I remember is that like these games came out like within years of each other,
Yes.
right? Because it's like San Andreas came out. San Andreas came out in 2004.
Yeah. Vice City came out in between these two, obviously.
Yeah, and then Vice City I think was 2002 or 3. It had to
Mm-hmm.
have been 2002. And then yeah, God, that's amazing. And then fucking Rockstar's lineup now is just trickle. But
Yeah.
Jesus, just thinking about that now is amazing.
Mm-hmm. Um, Next in line, Metal Gear Solid 2: Sons of Liberty.
Never played
Um,
it. I've
no.
always wanted to.
So I played it back in the day. I beat it. I thought it was really good. I obviously prefer part three, Snake Eater, but that's a lot
Really?
of people. Yes, that one's a lot of people like that one. Me included. It was the first one that. No, hold on, I'm trying to think. There's something that three had like it was the first of the Metal Gear Solids that it did. I forget what it was. Like my brain's aiming towards when you aim down sight, you actually aim down
Hmm.
sight. But I could be wrong. Could be wrong. But yeah, this one it was good. It was a good sequel to the first one. It was a Metal Gear Solid game. Um, yeah, it was good. It definitely deserves to be on the list when it comes to like best 2001 games.
2001.
Yeah,
Holy
right.
shit.
Next is Gran Turismo 3. Haven't really played a lot of racing games, but
Yeah, fuck that.
the,
No, skip it.
let's just say the Gran Turismo series
Skip it. No.
has always been what's the word I'm looking for? It's always like been liked, I guess.
No. Here, it's like that civilization of people from Futurama. It's a game.
Yeah, yeah. And next is Super Smash Bros. Melee.
Super
Um,
Smash Brothers. I mean, the quintessential like get together, fucking have fun game.
mm-hmm.
Like
And
literally,
Melee. Go ahead.
literally defined a generation of people who were just like, "Hey, want to come over and play fucking Smash or
Yep.
Melee?"
Yeah, Melee. It's funny because there are people who prefer the Melee over there's one that came out later. I think it's
Brawl.
called Brawl. Oh yeah, Brawl. Yeah, and people preferred Melee over Brawl.
Yeah,
Remember,
there
there's
there are
this
people who
big
mod
thing.
there's a community that mods the game. It's called MMod, I think, right? Or something
Oh
that
yeah, 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 yeah.
essentially
Yeah, you're right.
works the game into the Melee style mechanics.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, big game, very popular game.
Big
I,
popular, much wow.
big. um, Next one is Final Fantasy X.
Oh yeah, I'm a big Final Fantasy guy. I love Final Fantasy. I can't
Oh,
get enough of it.
perfect. um, Obviously, I've put in many hours into this game. Uh, this one is always my go-to when it comes to me uh referring anyone a Final Fantasy like as their first Final Fantasy.
Really? Not
Yes,
7?
Not 7. 10 because visually it's more pleasing than blocky things moving around in 7.
Mm-hmm.
And the battle system is actually more like if you're not used to RPG games, if you're new to it, it's a lot more easier to get into. Um
Mm-hmm.
when it whether it's getting your skills, your gear, whatever it may be, it's just a lot easier, a lot smoother, a lot more um user friendly.
Hmm. It seems
Where
like from what you're describing, a more refined game, but still in the shadow of 7.
Yeah, like I wouldn't say Shadow of 7 because depending on the person you talk to, a lot of people like 7 is the most known, but
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to hardcore Final Fantasy fans, a lot of people put 6 and 9 above 7.
Really? Because
Hmm.
when I talk to you, you literally have mentioned like there have been parts in 7 that brought tears to your eyes.
Yeah, so personally, 7 is going to be hands down my favorite, and I will put above any other one, any other of them. But again, I haven't played 1 through 6. Um, I played 6, 7, 8, and 9. I haven't
Okay.
played anything afterwards because it's different to me.
Not even
Um,
10?
I played 10. Or sorry,
Okay.
what did I say? Anything
6,
after?
7, 8, 9.
Oh, sorry, no, I played 7 through 10.
Okay, 7 through
I
10.
haven't played anything after 10. Even the sequel, Final Fantasy 10 2, never played it. And 11, 12, 13, 13 2, and I think there's like a sequel to that or something. I don't know. There's just,
Uh,
they're different games to me.
yeah,
10,
Final
10 is a
Fantasy
lot.
659, 420.
Yeah. So I kind of straying away. Obviously, I played the Final Fantasy 7 remake, but that's, a different
Different.
story. But yeah, Final Fantasy 10, definitely
What, you
my,
didn't? You never played Final Fantasy Dirge of Cerberus?
a movie? Yeah, no, I have not played it.
Man, it's almost like I don't know what I'm talking about. So you would
uh,
recommend 10 as kind of like an entry point.
oh, 100%. This is the one that I recommend always. And they did a really good HT. A lot of people tell me that the voice acting of the main character is horrible, but I mean, uh, game wise, I think it's still really good. Like comparing it to 7, the mechanics are way better in 7. But that doesn't matter when your first when it's your first entry, and
Hmm.
10 is just way more user friendly.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a great game. And one thing you'll probably be stuck playing is called Blitzball. It's basically you're in a giant sphere of water, and for some reason, I think you have like little mouth thing that makes you breathe on the water. And it's basically like soccer underwater, but you use your hands to grab the ball, and you swim, and then you pass the ball, and then you score goals. It's very addicting. I'll say that. Um, and a lot of fun.
Okay.
Yeah. And all right, moving on to the next one, Silent Hill 2.
Never played them. I
Neither have I.
There has never been a moment in my life where I've wanted to touch something that's a game
Mm-hmm.
that explicitly says horror.
Yeah.
Ever. Ever. I've and I'm sure like I would want to like I've played Left 4 Dead. I don't know how much that counts, but like
Mhm.
there's never been a point where I've looked at a game, saw that it was a horror film or a horror game, and been like, you know
Mhm.
what? That gets me going. Let's play that. Like ever. Ever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. For me, the horror games wise, just like Dead Space, I guess, Bioshock because everyone raved about it, and then the Resident Evil series. But that's kind of like
See,
I grew
that's
up
the
with.
thing is that like BioShock isn't it has horror elements,
Yeah.
but the game isn't built around being a horror game. That's the
True.
thing is that the Silent Hill franchise is
Yes.
like
100%.
how you use the controller, all of that. Like it's meant to like intertwine with it. Like BioShock is what we've been talking about, and it's an
Mm.
immersive sim. Uh, so it's so fascinating. I don't know. When you mentioned that, I was just like, whoa, cha, bruh. No, I'm
Um,
sorry. Keep
yeah.
going.
No, but obviously, like you said, horror game, like it's like the like horror series when it comes to that stuff. So, um,
Quintessential, really. I mean, I
yeah.
can't, other than Dead Space, I can't really think of another horror franchise.
I mean, for me, Resident Evil, but they kind of started straying away from that. So I understand why
Yeah.
people don't look at it as a horror anymore. It's like it has, like you said, horror elements, as in like zombies or vampires in the new one, werewolves.
Really?
I don't know. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. They kind of went off and did their own thing now. Um,
hmm
Completely different than the like the first couple of Resident Evils. But
I
going on to
still have
the
to, yeah, I still have to say, like, there, the tight, not necessarily storytelling, but the tight mechanics of that game were so enjoyable when I first played. Because when I did start to play the remastered Resident Evil, I didn't get very far just because I there were more interesting games that I wanted to try out, and I didn't want to force myself to play Resident Evil if
yeah.
you know if it wasn't something I was truly into. I'll come back to it, but I do remember like enjoying the nature of the mansion,
Mm-hmm.
and that's really fun. That's something that I genuinely enjoyed.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's a good game. Um, so next on the list is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3.
I really liked watching my friends eat shit, and that was it.
Sorry, not 3. It would be, was it 3 or 2?
Oh wait, which one? This is
So
important. Tell me which one.
on the thing it says Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, but I remember it being 2.
Oh, well, I mean, two is completely different. I remember watching my friends and laughing when they eat shit.
Yeah. I'm going to
Yeah.
say it's 2. Like this thing that I'm seeing says 3, but I'm going to say it's Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 2. Which
Okay.
is probably the fan favorite when it comes to most of them. So,
Really? And you've played this?
yeah, I have like, again when it
What
came
makes it the
out.
fan favorite?
I don't know. A lot of
If you don't mind
people.
me asking.
Well, I mean, obviously, I think it's just because it's a sequel to number one, and it was like kind. I don't know if it was the first of its kind, but it was like the skateboarding game, right?
Huh.
So two kind of just got the first one and just made it better, right? Added better, uh, like more maps, more skaters and all that stuff. Like you know how they always make a first one and kind of see how it goes, and then once it goes well, they're like, all right, let's make it better, and so on and so forth. So, um, I other than that, I don't know why people would prefer 2 over 1 or 3 or whatever. But I always hear that people have like the second one. Um, and again, like I was playing other games at the time. Like I
hmm
would again, it's one of those games that I used to go to my cousin's house and play, right? So,
Right. The good old cousin.
yep. um, so next on the list, Max Payne.
Max Payne uh, was one of the defining games of the third person shooter style.
Mm,
Like, again, I've only ever played, like, I think one of the sequels,
okay.
and apparently it still doesn't match up to the first game.
Oh.
Still. I mean, Mark Wahlberg, he's so good in the
Yeah.
movie. No, it's you know what it is? It's that fucking trailer song, the If I Was Your Vampire song. I don't know, it's so good, it's so catchy. Um, to be fair, I don't know all that much about the story of this game. I know that it's iconic
Mm,
for the mechanics. The shooting mechanics are apparently very rewarding, very satisfying. That's where the enjoyment of this game, the recognition comes from, is how the
Mm.
handling is. And I believe it's also the game that popularized bullet time.
Oh yeah. I would think so. Yeah. I feel like it might have been the first one, right?
Yeah, oh yeah. No, 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 I would definitely say it's in the running for first.
Hmm. Yeah. Again, me also haven't really played a lot of it. I think I saw my cousin
You
play it.
piece of shit.
But I personally haven't really played all that much. But this
Mhm.
next game, but many of ours, Devil May Cry. I don't know how much you know
Devil May
about it.
Cry 3 is the best because it introduces Virgil, Dante's brother, and
Mm.
he's diametrically opposed to Dante in virtually every way, and it makes him a great villain. No, go ahead.
Uh, First Devil May Cry was amazing. This is the game that, to me, like blew my mind when it came to graphics.
Mhm.
For the PS2, I was like, of course, again, good old cousin, right? Bought it, and he was like, dude, check out this game. I'm like, all right, and I was like, my first words were, this looks so real.
Mhm.
This is the first game that made me just like look at the game like, oh my god, like these graphics are amazing. Obviously, looking back now, they're kind of awful, but at the time, they're amazing. It's and I would say I don't know if this came out before God of War,
I
but
believe it did.
it was my first like hack and slash game, like God of
Mhm.
War, where you go around just hack and slash everything in front of you, and it was a lot of fun. Obviously different difficulties. There's a decent story where you go off and fight your father. Or no, sorry, I stand corrected. You
Your
go off and
brother.
no, not your brother. You go off and fight, I guess, like the main like bad guy in hell or something, and then you like people don't know who you like. Basically, you're half human and half like demon, or maybe like main devil, like
You're
Satan or
part
something like that.
Dooman.
Yeah, and
I like that.
people don't realize who you are, and they're kind of like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" And you're
Mhm.
going around beating the shit out of everyone, and then they find out, "Oh shit, you're the son of I forget what the guy's
You're the
name is."
son of Mr. Satan himself.
Yeah, basically. And yeah, and that's the story. You're a half demon running around, just fucking shit up, and then you can turn demon and do different stuff, different skills and shit. Yeah, that's like
Mhm.
the whole like you like collect orbs, right? That's what they're called. You collect
Mhm.
orbs, and then you get enough orbs and you buy special abilities or get things, and it's the first game that did that for me, and
Mhm.
I thought it was amazing. I don't know if games did it before like that. I know
But that
now.
doesn't fucking matter because it did it for you then.
Yes, like obviously now it's like there's like God of War, there's the Darksider series,
Mhm.
there's a lot of games like it
There's
now, but
Bloodborne and Dark
Bloodborne,
Souls.
yep,
In fact,
like
like it's not a one-to-one thing because the Souls-like
mhm,
mechanic is something that Souls popularized, but the combo-based like hack and slash game is something that existed for a long time.
yeah,
Devil May Cry was one of them. So was something like Dynasty Warriors at the
mm,
time. I'm not gonna lie, I never really gave those kinds of games, I think, the attention that I'm think I should have. Um,
yeah.
I remember when the PlayStation 2 came out and there was um a Brandon's video game store.
Mm.
If you remember those, Brandon's Video.
Not too much for me.
Doesn't
Um,
matter.
yeah.
It was one of the I get you. I get you. I get you. It was one of those it was one of those stores that had that like shelving and they would put like 8 inches worth of space in between each game.
Okay.
And the PlayStation 2 had just come out, and one of the games that they were like demoing was Lord of the Rings.
Oh, okay.
And that was one of those games where you could either play as like Gimli, Legolas, or Aragorn, and you
Hmm.
can just like uh you could, button mash. And that's what I ended up doing. I didn't really know anything about combos, and I didn't really know anything about once you pass the level, you get all this currency that you could buy on combos. And I wasn't really like understanding because I was 8 at the time. I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know like, wait, when I'm like stabbing or like hacking and slashing this guy, why is there a number next to when I'm doing this, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I played that, I wasn't that into it, and I never finished that game because again, I was a fucking 8-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I remember when I would see stuff for Devil May Cry 3, and the concept of like this guy in midair like shooting and using a sword or whatever at the same time while like a number was going off next to him was something that didn't click with me, and it's something that I don't necessarily have a problem with now, but
Mm-hmm.
as a kid, I didn't care for it. I was not an
Right.
articulate player. Like I'm still a button masher when it comes to plenty of like multiplayer games.
Yeah.
Uh and I think that required something of me that I wasn't willing to do. But I would
Mm-hmm.
love to possibly go back and try out games like that because I remember friends of mine playing, as I was saying, Dynasty Warriors, which is similar, not necessarily the same, but it's still the idea of like you're in an open environment, you've got like combo based attacks, you've got multiple kind of like spongy enemies to kill, and you've got currency that you can add to new combos and stuff like that. So that era is something, or that era, not that era, that genre of game is something that I never really put much stock into. And to be fair, as I mentioned before, it bled into something like Dark Souls, Demon Souls, Bloodborne.
Mm-hmm.
It it became an aspect of games that I never really cared for.
Yeah.
And everyone raves about those games. If I could go on a tangent for a moment, it's like
Go for it.
the meticulous nature of like swinging your sword or like the harshness of the game is stuff that really makes you think of how to play.
Mm.
Like they put a lot of effort into the design of how these weapons work and how swinging the weapon works and how much time it takes and being committed and the economy of your moves, which is something that I think that is in itself its own fixture. But combining that with like hack and slash and combos is something that that era of games definitely contributed to.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Good.
Um,
You better.
right. So maybe you have more experience with this one. Next one is Jack and Daxter.
No, I've never heard of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, pass.
All right, let's go to the next one.
No. Uh, Jack and Daxter is a God. It's a fucking messy franchise. Um,
Mm,
it came out. A demo was essentially aired with the release of the PlayStation 2. Uh, and that was one of the first games where I was like, "Oh, that looks so fucking cool! I want a PlayStation 2 for this game."
yeah.
Um, and it was such a wacky game. Like, it had some of the remnants of a collectathon, like Banjo Kazooie,
Mm,
um, that was dead at the time. Effectively, I know Banjo Kazooie was like released. Banjo Kazooie and Banjo Kazooie 2 were released like not too long before Jack and Daxter, but the collectathon was a novelty of the 90s and barely the 2000s, and it has a resurgence now with another one of the Banjo Kazooie games and the oh god, what was it, Ukulele?
mm,
Um, but Jack and Daxter had some of that, like uh, it it had some weird like semi science fiction, semi like fantasy stuff. It had a very weird sense of identity or lack of identity. And you really get a sense of like the fact that some of the things that they were doing in later games were like topical stuff because Jack and Daxter 2 came out around the same time as like Vice City, and they had to have that same like car hijacking and a little bit of more violence to it. But
Mhm.
the idea of the hero with like this little animal sidekick again is something that was popularized by the Collectathon. Spyro,
Yeah.
Banjo Kazooie as well. Ha ha hoo! No, wait, that's not it. There we go. That's the sound effect that I was looking for, not
Mhm.
Mario.
Mhm.
But like it became lesser so in Jak 2 and 3, but I think Jak and Daxter is very much one of the last kind of collectathons. And I know I'm on the collectathon like but it was a game that I think managed to grow out of that a bit. It was a solid platformer on top of that. Um, really satisfying controls. The story was fine. There wasn't much to it. They added enough mystery that they expanded upon in the second and third games. Disappointingly so in the third game, but we're not really getting into that. Um, yeah, to be fair, I'm more of a Jak 2 guy, but Jak and
Mhm.
Daxter was like one of my first genuine forays into the PlayStation 2.
Mhm. I.
And I mean, I had already been affiliated with Naughty Dog because Crash Bandicoot,
Mhm. Mhm.
I didn't beat as a kid. That's the thing is that I was never the kind of kid at that age to just play something to beat it. And Jak and Daxter, I think, at that time in 2002, was the first game I ever beat.
Oh,
Yeah. So there you go.
there we go.
Here
Um,
we go.
I've never played it, but I've seen you play it here and there.
That's right. I had
Mhm.
the remastered trilogy for the PlayStation 3.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah,
Next
they're
one
fun
is.
games. Seriously, if you're ever interested, give them a try. I don't think they're up
I
your
will.
alley personally, but I always like to go back and play fun little things like Ratchet and Clank or
No,
anything up that alley.
I mean I like trophies, so.
Yeah, collect all 200 precursor orbs, bitch.
Oh fuck.
Oh, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
The next one is SSX Tricky.
I
I don't
went
know.
to one event, one fucking high up in the Oakland rich people hills where the older people were having a party and the kids were playing on the consoles things,
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
gaming laptops, and they were playing this game and it was nothing but a bunch of toddlers like back and forth like eating shit.
Fair enough.
To be fair, I don't know why. I actually kind of think snowboarding games that era were kind of fun looking and kind of interesting,
Yes.
but they all still kind of fell into like the Tony Hawk's Underground, where it was like I didn't have the coordination, I didn't have like a sense of understanding as to what to do, so there was really no point. Like you're kind of seeing a
Right.
through line where it's like at that age, 8 or 9, I wasn't really capable of of having that attention span for something like that.
Right. Yeah. The only snowboarding games that I remember were like Cool Borders.
Hmm.
That's it. Yep. Mm. We'll move on to the next one. Bad Fur Day.
Conker's Bad Fur Day. I was not allowed to play that game. You're in for trouble when the furry community. No, I'm kidding. You're in trouble when there's a fucking half naked squirrel chick doing fucking Pilates and yoga right in front of you, and then on top of that, you have to jump on top of a sunflower woman's titties, and then you electrocute a teddy Nazi to death, very gruesomely, and that's like two things spread out or three things spread out throughout the game that encompasses a lot of just raunchy shit.
Mm.
I played a moment of Conker's Bad Fur Day, and then that was actually when I was a little bit older. But to be fair, I actually only played at one point and got to know uh, Conker Live and Reloaded,
Okay.
which was the Xbox remake or a
Mm,
remaster which was weird. I think that was one of the more early remakes, which is essentially just the remaster of Conker's Bad Fur Day from the N64.
mm,
Um, Fun multiplayer, inverted, so I could never master it ever. Uh,
mm,
I don't understand inverted people. It's like having inverted nipples in hentai. It just doesn't make sense to me. Um, but yeah, the the it was one of those games where the Nintendo kind of brand was like arcade fun.
yeah.
Let's break some boundaries with like visuals. And then there was Legend of Zelda, which was like, oh god, it's a masterpiece, nothing's ever going to get better. And then there's Conquer Live and Reloaded, which is like every dirty joke in the book.
Mm-hmm.
So I like this era of games too, which were really cheeky.
Mm-hmm.
And Conker's Bad Fur Day is definitely one of the main proprietors of that. Because
Mm-hmm.
you don't have, uh, I don't mean to say, I'm not saying that they were necessarily great. Um, but, like, it was such an enjoyable game to play in the first place. And, like, some of the really just, like, controversial bits of it, I think, just add to the character of the game itself.
Mm,
And it has such a strange ending. Like, anyway, go out and fucking play Conker's Bad Fur Day or Conker Live and Reloaded, whatever.
mm.
They do have it, I think, on a Game Pass, I think.
Oh,
Yeah, so if you're ever interested, give it a try. Um, Fun stuff. Again, it's from that era where everything looked like dog shit, but was slowly getting a little better in terms of visuals.
yeah.
Um, I love that era. I love that era of Nintendo and PlayStation where they really just loved like barrels and wood polygons. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
hmm Like I don't know what it is because Jack and Daxter employed some of that too, and that's one of the things that I like is because it pays some visual homage or has some like visual DNA as well as like game mechanics
Yeah.
to that era of games. But yeah, Conker's Bad Fur Day, really funny, really crude and crass. Play it if you want to like laugh or pathetically jerk off to sunflower titties.
um.
Sorry, children, anyone listening to this.
Next is Twisted Metal Black.
Never played it.
I've never played it either, but I have played the first two Twisted Metals on the PlayStation. They were a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Um,
I do hear they're quite iconic. I
yeah,
honestly I don't know enough about them to really comment on them.
they're they're very unique to being uh one of the few games that had cars and guns. You drive around in a car and you shoot guns out of the car.
Holy
Uh,
shit.
yeah. Its only competitor was Vigilante 8. Um,
That sounds
which
even less memorable.
yeah, that one I actually preferred those over Twisted Metal. Um, and I growing up I didn't pronounce them Vigilante because I didn't know that was a word.
Vigilant.
I just call them Vigilant.
That's fucking even better.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, Vigilant 8.
Vigilante.
Yeah. So yeah, I've never played Black. I don't know what the differences were compared. Obviously, probably better graphics, smoother
Eh,
controls. But I it was a lot of fun. Those were another arcade style game where you drive around and you go destroy cars, and there's the
hmm.
local multiplayer where you play against your friends and stuff. It was
For
fun.
me it's the clown face that just I'm not afraid of clowns, but I don't
Yeah,
know. Something just doesn't feel right.
yeah, like that was the obviously that's the face of Twisted Metal where
Yeah.
in Vigilante 8 it was like a bus or something
hmm
like that. There's no like actual characters. Like Vigilante 8 was just the cars were like the characters.
Right.
Yeah. So, but those games were a lot of fun. I played a lot of hours of Vigilante 8 and Twisted Metal. Those were fun. And I don't know what happened to my games. I think my brother sold them off or something. Um, Next on the line is Sonic Adventure 2.
Fuck
Um,
Sonic.
yeah, I never really played a lot of Sonics growing up. But people like Sonic.
I mean, the side-scrolling original stuff was fun. I mean,
Mhm,
again, I wasn't good enough to pass any, but I'm
mhm.
still not good enough to pass like half of that shit, and that's some really
Yeah,
fun gameplay. But I think Sonic as a brand has been greatly tarnished by some of his more contemporary stuff.
yeah, true, true.
Like I'm
Um,
talking like Catholic priest diocese like controversy bad.
yeah, yeah. Sonic's they're there.
Yeah, they
N-
exist. It's a game.
Next in the line is probably my favorite off this list, and let me confirm. Yes, hands down, my favorite on this list. Diablo 2. I've spent hundreds of hours playing this game. Growing up, also as a teenager, and then as a full fledged
and
adult,
and as a mutant ninja turtle.
and as a mutant ninja turtle. Um,
Cowafungus.
yes. Um, but yeah, Diablo 2 it was my entry point to PC gaming in general, and also just dungeon crawlers. This is what made me love those games, and yeah, I mean, I can say a lot about Diablo 2 and what it is. It's just basically you are a character, you choose a different type of character, how you want to play the game, and you go defeat Satan basically. Uh, and you fight a bunch of his followers along the way, and you save the realm.
Dude, who
For a
doesn't
time,
fucking love defeating Satan?
yeah. But yeah, you save the realm until basically Diablo 3, and then you choose another character. But no, Diablo 2. Basically, with Diablo 2, it's basically the original Diablo. The first hero, they get they like get this stone, right, and then they get like what they do is they shove it into their forehead, and then
Ew.
basically they turn into Diablo, and then Diablo 2 is basically continuing that, and you have to stop them.
Huh.
Um, yeah, and it's pretty cool because like they obviously have references for the original. I never played the original, but they have references. Like for example, in the original, they had a rogue class, where in part 2 and 3, there's not a rogue class.
That's
Um,
fucking bullshit.
yeah. So no, yeah, it's and people still play it to this day. Um, and I played it a lot. I got into Diablo 3 only because um, the interface is a lot smoother. It's easier on the eyes, right? It's not like old grainy looking game.
Hmm.
But it's still a fantastic game. Everything about it is basically perfect when it comes to games like that. Diablo 3 obviously came out way later, but it got a lot better. From what I heard, it was good, and then it got bad, and then now it's gotten a little bit better. But
It's gotten gooder.
yeah, but Diablo 2, hands down my favorite. Um, how about you? What are your thoughts on Diablo 2?
I've never played Diablo 2. Um I was dead set on never playing an isometric game ever.
Mm-hmm,
I thought
mm-hmm,
they were clunky looking and unattractive, and I'm kind of eating my words now because I've downloaded Fallout 1 and 2 and I'm playing Divinity with you and another one of our friends.
mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm,
I actually really enjoy uh, as we were talking about before last week, I really enjoyed Divinity. I like the combat in it.
Hmm.
Um, I enjoy playing it with multiple people, and I'm excited to play the Fallout games, and it actually makes me excited to play Diablo. I actually
Hmm.
wouldn't mind playing it with you guys if it's a multiplayer because I did have so much fun with, or I'm having fun with you guys on Divinity.
Yeah. We'll definitely hop on that. I know Eved wants to play the new season, which comes out tomorrow. So,
Season.
um, yeah. So every season in Diablo 3, going off topic of what we're talking about, uh, is they add new items and they add a little spice to things, and it's only for the season. So basically every season you start off with nothing. Where in non-seasonal, you can exchange items, exchange money, anything between characters. But then once you start a seasonal character, it's straight zero. You have nothing. You're starting
And you
fresh.
start over. You're doing
Yep,
like a bit of a mad dash with your new character or your new stats.
exactly. But then, like I said,
Okay.
there's new items in the game, and then there's how do you say, a little spice added to it. So it's a little different. Just so you're not just basically restarting the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, and then obviously, like for example, like I was saying in Diablo 2, people go back and play every season. There's still a season online. And the reason the people do that is because you get into leaderboards. And that's why people still go back and play it. And then also just starting a new season, they like to just, get back into playing Diablo 2 every season or so. Same thing with us, like every season here and there. Uh because for us when Diablo 3, it's like it kind of like once you play it and you get all the good stuff and everything, you're kind of just like, okay,
Done.
well, I did it, yeah. And then you kind of
Hmm.
just are bored and you're just like, okay, well, we'll wait for the next season and stuff like that. So yeah, we'll definitely hop on that. And there is in October Diablo 2 remastered. That's gonna be a lot of fun. Both of Ed and I are super stoked for that, and you're gonna play it with us. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Make me.
Oh, we are.
You know what that
Um,
is, Mr. Ruiz?
mm,
That is the sound of inevitability.
so good. Zillion!
Motherfucker, it's the wrong Hugo Weaving movie.
uh, all right. Next on the list,
Cast it into the
Golden.
fire!
No,
Lucille!
so good. Next on the list,
So
Golden Sun.
I thought you were going to say GoldenEye, and that would have been an equally disappointing thing for me to tackle. I've never heard of Golden Sun.
Neither have I. It looks like an RPG of sorts.
Well, that sounds
Hmm,
fucking awful. Sounds like
yeah.
dog shit.
All right. Next, Black and White.
Black and White. I actually never played the first one, to be honest. Um, I don't even know why we're talking about it now. Um, I actually, again, it just appeared out of nowhere. I must have seen like something on G4 or whatever, but it was 2006,
Mm-hmm.
a year after the game came out, or at least after not God of War, Jesus. It was about a year after Black and White 2 came out,
Mm-hmm.
and I was sitting on my laptop and I fucking plugged in the game or put in the game and it was downloading and I finally got to play my first play or Jesus words salad and I got to play my first computer game. Uh
It's like,
it's pretty rudimentary now that I think about it. I'm probably going to get mods to add a little bit more stuff and to change up the creature avatar, but I remember it being a very fun game. The first one was fairly iconic, and the second one was just as good with a couple issues. Um, but I think one of my favorite things was being able to choose like an animal avatar, right?
mm-hmm.
And he or she is the representation of the physical representation of you as a god, and
Mm.
you can assign them to do certain things, and you can either, well, I felt super bad about it, but like you can either strike them or pet them to teach them to do things um
Oh.
without being controlled to do it. Like if you wanted it to be like, oh, I wanted to eat my citizens, you like it'll have this thought bubble over its head where it's like, I want to eat people, and you can either like nurture that idea with like head pats, or you can like strike it and be like, no, that's bad. Put the human down.
Mm.
Or you could be like, oh, um, I want to help build buildings faster and raise my like city's happiness, and you can like encourage that, or you can give them like play toys and whatnot to like make them happy. And this all sounds like a fucking animal simulator, but like it's a very loose like city builder. You can control people to build stuff. You have resource management, military management. You have to like win the respect or admiration of another civilization, or just conquer them flat out. And they might also have an animal avatar. I actually never fought most
Mm.
of my adversaries. I usually just tried like winning them over with impressiveness.
Okay.
But I always remember it being a fun game, and that's what that's what I'm most interested in coming back to. Giving this
Mm.
game a try and seeing how it feels now. And like I said, I'm at that point where I'm a little more comfortable, or at least I'm starting to become a little more comfortable introducing mods to kind of
Mm.
add a little more zest to the game.
Okay. Yeah.
Or as Emerald would call it, a little bam.
So next on the list, uh, Soul Reaver, 2 specifically.
What?
So I've seen these covers before, and it looked really cool.
Hmm.
And I've recently learned that these actually are in the same universe as
Legacy of Kain
yes, and I did
and
not
Blood
know
Omen.
that. I,
Hmm.
d- I actually played that game, and I used to, and I thought it was fucking amazing, but again, I did not know those two were like twined.
Yep.
Do you know this? Oh, so I'm guessing you played them.
I remember this one where
Okay.
Kane like realizes that this guy is like a fucking badass vampire, so he like rips his wings off and mutilates him and casts him down. And this character makes a pact with like a demon to get his revenge. Am I mixing that up with something else?
No, that's basically from what I got. Yeah.
So like again, this was one of those games that like came out, I wasn't really sure what to do. Like I remember the stories to these games being so goddamn convoluted. Like
mm,
there's time travel involved, and it's a fantasy vampire game,
yes.
which is so weird. And this was in the era where like you had to have like the dark character, you know what I mean, where it's like
Yeah.
the the Soul Reaver is like that perfect early 2000s like let's make him dark, let's make him brooding, let's make him kind of evil, and
Yeah.
let's make him the main character.
It's true.
What are your thoughts on this?
I thought the story was like the background story was great. It just sucks that I didn't play it when I was a kid. I used to see the um the covers all the time, and I thought they looked cool, but
Hmm.
I couldn't buy every game I wanted, right?
I'll
So
buy it for you.
thank you.
You
But
say
no,
the
yeah,
word.
yeah. They seem cool. Mutilated vampire trying to get revenge sounds like a something that I would probably would have enjoyed as a kid.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, more than other than that, I guess I can see why um people would put it in the top when it comes to 2001 games.
And it had, yeah, oh yeah, and it had such a long running franchise. There were like 5 games, I think, if
Yeah.
not more. I could be way off, but it's essentially the Reaver character and Kane like
Mm-hmm.
pal up too. It's so it's so fascinating because I remember the Legacy of Kain or whatever it is, or whatever the first game is, had like a completely different like tone and mechanic, and then like Soul Reaver was this really strange early PlayStation uh like platformer, action platformer,
Hmm,
which was just weird. Anyway,
yeah. Next on the list, I actually looked up the name of this game. Shenmue 2.
oh yeah,
Shenmue.
no, I've got great memories of this game as a child.
That was that sarcasm?
Yeah, that was
Okay.
sarcasm.
I felt it, but I needed to confirm.
It's good.
Um,
Your intuition is very good. It's very strong, palpable.
yeah, yeah, I've never even heard of this game, so I probably have, but I don't remember. Next is NBA Street.
Nope.
Um, the only thing I remember is this was like huge when it came out. That's
Hmm.
about it. I think I played it once, and I'm not even sure if it was this one. It might have been the second one or something. Um,
Anything sports or like car related, I just know.
yeah, yeah. I feel the same. I mean, so
Body
obviously,
massage machine.
um, I would say maybe like a few years ago. Seems longer by now, but uh, I stopped watching sports. But I was a huge. I would call myself a
You
meat
were a
head, I
huge
guess.
sport person.
Yeah, I watched a lot of sports. I kind of stopped. But yeah, I was into the Madden. I played Madden a lot. Some hockey, some FIFA. Um, but I never got the one thing I did play back on the Super Nintendo. There's a basketball game I played, and I would always play with the Chicago Bulls because you have Jordan and you have this guy. Fuck, he's the head coach of the.
LeBron.
No, he's the head coach of the Golden State Warriors. Um, Steve Kerr. No, not Steve Curry.
Steph
Steve.
Curry.
Not Steph Curry. Steve. I think
Steve
it's just
Madden.
Steve Kerr. I think it's just Kerr. Yeah. Steve Kerr. He his main thing was just shooting 3 pointers, and I used to just like pass it to him, and then he would shoot a three, and he would make it every single time.
You little shit.
Yeah.
Gaming the system.
But NBA Street, I think what was like cool about it was that it was not real like NBA teams, but it was like street teams and all this other stuff. And I think there was like fancy rules and stuff like that. You can bounce it off the
Hmm.
wall or something like that. I don't remember, but it was stuff like that. But that's all I remember from that. Uh, the next one is Onimusha. Also, I've never heard of. Mark.
Oh, I was just doing a dramatic pause. No, I never heard of the game either.
Okay, so this one I have heard, Red Faction.
Red Faction is a series that just didn't want to fucking die.
Yeah, like it. Okay, so I've never played it, but from what I've seen and from what other people have talked about, it had potential in the
Hmm.
sense of it was like one of the few games that like buildings actually like would get destroyed.
Well, see, now you're ahead because that's Red Faction, I believe, 3.
Oh, I stand corrected.
So, or Red Faction Gorilla. I can't remember. So,
Mm.
what you're thinking of is essentially the the
Environment destruction.
2000. Yeah, well, no, you're right.
Mm.
It's a 2010 game, which
Oh,
is
okay.
kind of loosely rebooting everything. But Red Faction and Red Faction 2 were
Mm.
early 2000s first-person shooters.
Okay.
Kind of similar to the low quality like PC games at the time that
Okay.
had kind of like a slight Unreal uh not Quake, but like a slight Unreal Halo-y kind of vibe to them. They had like a
Mm-hmm.
I honestly don't know the stories behind Red Faction 1 and 2, but I know what you're talking about with Red Faction Guerrilla, which touted some like interesting uh physics. You could kind of destroy everything, but it was very like it was very like, oh, you I remember some really great like stories of people like blowing up the entire building except for like one like drywall, one tiny little like 5 feet of drywall in the building, and it still wouldn't collapse. There's actually a really great thing that they introduced, like depending on how much of the support you would blow up on tall buildings, it would
Mm.
actually automatically fall.
Yeah.
So you know how in a lot of games you have this like tendency to like try to destroy stuff if you can, and
Right.
the building is still standing because you've got like two pieces of of brick connected to the ground.
Yeah.
Red Faction Gorilla, I think, amended that where it's like it would create like a load
Uh,
snapping sound and it would just collapse. Um, Fun game. There was really nothing other to the game. There was no really good story. The shooting mechanics were not all that great. The only thing that I think really tried to sink its teeth into anything was the destruction mechanics, and then
mm,
the lesser received sequel I think tried doing some other mechanic too that was a little wacky and silly.
mm, okay. That's literally all the information I had from Red Faction.
But you know what? If you want, we can actually look up and discuss some of the stuff that we haven't played.
Oh, we can.
Yeah. Some
Hmm.
of the stuff that I wouldn't have been able to pronounce, and yeah, I'd like that. We could discuss like Max Payne, a couple of the games that
Oh
I
yeah.
can't remember offhand. Just give them a discussion. We don't have to
I'm
play
down.
them. We could probably just like get some review ideas, look at the gameplay ourselves. It wouldn't give us an
Yeah.
idea of like game feel, but I think it would, help us, enlighten us,
Oh,
enlighten us.
100%. Um, Next game, a game that I really wanted to play when it first came out, Luigi's Mansion.
Oh yeah, yeah, Luigi.
Yeah, it looked a lot of fun, and I
Really?
really wanted it, but never got it.
Just wasn't in the cards for you, bud.
Yeah, it was whenever it seems like every time I got a Nintendo console, I never get the games that I wanted to get with the console. So, for example, the N64, I really wanted an N64 for two games, Pokemon Coliseum and Pokemon Snap. Never got them. Instead, I got Ocarina of Time and Rush 64. Um, yeah, I don't know, dude. I was a kid.
Did like an
Um,
ant get you the rush one? Because that feels like something an ant would
I
do.
think I think I had a choice. Like, all right, you got the N64. What games do you want? And I was like, like I didn't know. Like I was looking for the Pokemon games, and obviously at the time, like they're super popular. They're like, yeah, we don't have them. And instead of like, you know, like, oh, let's go look at another store and try to find these games. My parents were like, all right, well, you gotta choose whatever you have. Like, fuck.
Jesus.
And I think the person at the cash register recommended me Ocarina of Time. They're like, oh, this is a really good game, blah, blah, which I'm glad they did. Like, it obviously is a really good game, and I'm glad I played it. But
Mhm.
Rush 64 is one that I chose because I liked racing. Like, I liked racing stuff back in the day. I don't know how that didn't stick, but it I liked racing cars, and I chose Rush 64. Other than that,
God.
yeah. So then the GameCube, when I got the GameCube, this was one of the games I wanted, and I forgot what other game I really wanted to, and I never got them. Instead, I got I know I played the Lord of the Rings, I think Return of the King game. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then I played fuck, what is it called? I played Resident Evil 0. Um that one was a really good game. And I forgot what else. But
Resident Evil 0. Okay.
yeah, it's basically like the same time as like goes like same timeline as the original one, original Resident Evil, but like you're like doing your own thing. Like you're going through the mansion on a separate like through a separate area, you know? It's weird. Um but I thought it was cool. Um but yeah, Luigi's Mansion looked like a lot of fun. I know they're making a sequel.
What?
Yeah. Uh and people were excited for it because I hear a lot of good things from Luigi's Mansion. Heard it was a lot of fun. But I never actually got to play it. I never actually seen gameplay of it, which is weird. I'm surprised that I haven't. Um, I don't know, but that's my input when it comes to the game.
I've never held a Nintendo console in my hands until the Switch.
Fair enough.
The the Wii, the Wii U, the Game Box.
Mm-hmm.
The 64 I wanted,
Mm-hmm.
but I never really vocalized my desire for it. And by then, like the PlayStation 2 had come out, and I was just good.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. What side note? GameCube is, I don't know if it's considered or not, but is one of the first uh mobile consoles, because if you look at the GameCube, there's a handle at the back for you to carry it.
That's ingenious.
Yeah, like
I don't give a shit.
it was meant for you to fucking pick up, go to your friend's house and play.
God.
Yeah. But anyways, next game,
To
Ico.
be fair, that is pretty
Oh,
cool.
yeah,
And I
I
like
think it's pretty cool.
that something like that was thought of.
Yeah. But yeah, next game, Ico. Um,
I actually never played it.
Same here.
I've always wanted to, and I've always been told to play it, but I just I can't. I
Yeah.
I just want Shadow of the Colossus. I don't want to play The Last Guardian,
Mm-hmm.
because that, well, I don't know. I just don't want to play that one. I really want to play Ico, but I just I haven't gotten to it, and that sucks.
That reminds me. We need to set up a date for me to bring over my PlayStation so we can continue our Shadow of the Colossus run.
Oh yeah, I gotta finish that.
Yeah. But I agree.
Na, 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 na,
Ico is
na, na.
definitely a game that I haven't like, and I've owned the HD PS3 upgrades of Shadow of the Colossus and Ico. You've seen it,
Oh
and
yeah.
I've never played it. I don't know. It's just, you're right. Like if I were to play one of the three, I would probably hop onto Shadow of the Colossus. But that doesn't mean that Ico's a bad game, right? Like Ico's, from what I've heard, is a really good game. It's just, yeah, compared to other games in that same little, the publisher. No, what's the word? Development
Yeah,
team.
developer studio.
Yeah, studio. There you go. That's a better word. It just seems like Shadow Colossus reigns supreme.
Yeah, I
Um,
think I definitely agree with you on that. I think from what I've seen of Ico, as fun as it looks, I really do think Shadow of the Colossus takes the cake.
yeah. Next in line is Star Wars Rogue Leader. What does it say?
Rogue
Rogue
Squadron.
Squadron 2. Yeah.
Hmm.
Never played it.
If anyone asks, Battlefront and Battlefront 2 are the best Star Wars games.
Yep, agreed.
I don't know. Again, I never the Rogue Squadron stuff was on the GameCube.
Oh, I was not aware of that.
Yeah, or at least I believe it was. So I never got that avenue of Star Wars games. I enjoyed stuff like Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy. I never liked The Force Unleashed. I never really cared for it all that
Mm,
much. Um, but Battlefront, I think, is the funner live out your Star Wars stuff experience for the
right.
2000s. But yeah,
Next.
no, I've always wanted to try the Rogue Squadron franchise just because at the time at least it's said to have had some of that smooth, enjoyable flight combat that everyone loves.
Right. Yeah, that's what I thought. I mean, it has a picture of a squadron thingy, so I would figure it was a flight thingy. Next is Return to Castle Wolfenstein. Um, I've never
I've
actually played
yeah,
any of the Wolfensteins,
neither have I.
but I hear great things from them.
Yeah, I hear good things from Wolfenstein too. Um, um, Wolfenstein came out around the same time as Doom, and had that same. I don't know. Was it from? I think it was from the same developer. I don't know. It doesn't fucking
Oh
matter.
yeah.
Um, I this is another game that I do really genuinely want to play again, or
Mm-hmm.
not again. That I genuinely want to play.
Yeah.
Um, I really do want to get in touch with some of these proto first person shooters.
Yeah.
Just kind of feel out some of the mechanics, the difficulty, uh, just see what the not necessarily the difference is, but just to experience it honestly.
Yeah.
Because
Agreed.
the modern Wolfensteins are interesting games. I don't think they're anything particularly special. Like they had an era in the aughts where they didn't really know what they wanted to do with the franchise,
Mm-hmm.
and then now they kind of circled back to them and did a whole bunch of like games that have solid stories, well, as solid as you can get with a Wolfenstein game, but solid stories and very solid gameplay. And who doesn't love killing Nazis? So
Right. All right. Next on the list is I feel like might be pronounced Sid Meier's Myers.
Sid
S-
Meier.
Sid Meier's Civilization 3.
Nope,
Uh,
it's all about Sid Meier's Pirates.
I've never played any of these. These were I believe this is very similar to the Total War games, but I could be
Hmm.
wrong. Okay. I've never played them. The first one that I ever played was Total War Warhammer. That was the first one I played of that series, and it's cool. It's too like when it comes to the battles, like it's just a lot of happening, man.
Hmm.
It reminds me of like it reminds me of StarCraft, but way more complicated.
Hmm.
Um, and I can barely play fucking StarCraft. Um,
I've
so
I don't know how people do it, to be honest. I'm with you on that.
yeah, like it's just a lot of hand-eye coordination and then muscle memory and then just just practicing all the time until you get fairly decent to just play the game. And then yeah, I'm just like, dude, I don't like by the time I started playing Total War, I I was not, how do you say, I didn't have the time to invest into the game, you know? I was just
Hmm.
like, I can't sit here for hours and get good at this game. Like I have so many other things I want to like do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hearing people talk about like actions per minute and
Yeah.
hearing like professional players and how high up they are on that totem is
Mm-hmm.
just like it's bad enough, like I said, that I'm a fairly uncoordinated person, and like I could never imagine doing like a third of that, and yet there are people who do this professionally for money.
Yep.
That's fucking
It's
insane.
yeah, it's insane. Next in line, Pikmin, another game that I would love to have picked up in the GameCube,
Fuck
but
you.
never
You pick
did.
shit for the GameCube on purpose.
But
Honestly, I've wanted to play it. I've never
yeah,
ever really gotten the chance to. It looks fun. I
it
like
does look
kind of
fun.
the control a bunch of like little guys at once kind
Hmm.
of thing. But again, like I've never really had the chance to play it.
Yeah, same here. But yeah, it looks a lot of fun. Last in line is Crazy Taxi 2.
Never heard
Um,
of it.
yeah, same here. But I didn't actually did not know they made a part 2. I thought it was just the first one. That's it.
It can be if we just imagine it really hard.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
just believe.
believe. So Pikmin was the last one. Yep, there you go.
Wow, really strong one to end on.
Yeah. Oh man. But out of these three, I would say my top. Or sorry, out of all these, my top three would definitely be Diablo 2 number one, Devil May Cry number two, and Final Fantasy X number three.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we went through way too many games for me to really remember where we're going with that. I
Yeah.
liked all of them, even the ones I never played. They were
they're
all
all my
amazing.
they're all my number one. But
But
yeah,
yeah,
I
no,
mean,
I from God, this I actually made me want to talk more about it. I
yeah, go
really
for it.
did enjoy hearing some of these these games again.
Yeah. I mean,
You know
it's
what?
yeah,
To
go
be
for it.
fair, the more and more we talked about some of these games, the more and more it actually made me realize something that I wanted to talk about that I was remembering from last week.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just kind of how ironic it is, or like, geez, how do I want to say this? Like, you remember the game I told you I came up with, like TPS reports from hell.
Yes. Yes.
I I'm I was thinking to myself, I'm kind of basing some of this, the exploration, the enemies, off of Prey, right?
Yeah.
Um, because I thought Prey was a solid immersive sim, and I wouldn't mind as a new time or just an amateur idea person basing a game somewhat around that mechanic and that style. And the more and more I play of System Shock 2, I realize System Shock 2 is more in line with the game that I want to play, the game that I want to make.
Yeah.
And that's so funny because when I stopped talking about it last week, I thought of the game that I talked to you about, TPS Reports from Hell, and I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
holy fucking shit. It's so fascinating that like I got inspiration from a game like Prey to make this game, but Prey got inspiration from a game that I want to compare the one that I want to make to more.
Right.
And it's just I don't know. I food for
Yeah.
thought. I
Yeah.
just thought it was immensely fascinating.
No. Yeah. I mean, I like. Of course, you're gonna get your influence from things, right?
Hmm.
I
But
mean,
I thought it was a really funny like thing where I was like, oh cool, I'm my ideas are coming from this one game, and it's like no, like the ideas you're getting from this game are distilled almost entirely from this one. And
mhm.
it's just I don't know. I just thought it was really fascinating.
Yeah, where like your thoughts are actually coming from.
Yeah, seriously. And where like the ideas for these games are really coming from. Not really coming from, but like you have this idea
Mhm.
for something and you base it off this and you realize that like this game is based off of this other game, and the older game resembles the ideas that you have for your new game more than the initial game that you based your ideas off of.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it was just a funny little kick in the head.
Yeah. Yeah, we just passed that 2 hour mark, and I'm getting nappy, and I have to shower.
All right, fine. I didn't want to talk to you anyway.
Man.
Meh. All right, guys, I'll do the outro.
Yes.
YouTube, Twitter, email now. Like, subscribe. Was that sufficient? Was that good
Yeah.
enough for you?
Yeah, that was good enough.
You should know. Go to the ends
Mhm.
of all of our other fucking streams, assholes. Don't make us do the work. You have to put in the work. Fuck you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Auf Wiedersehen, assholes.